Hello everyone, my name's Solace. This is the JJ Movie 2 /game reviews. And right now I'm doing my worst to best James Bond films. There has been 23 James Bond films. You're not counting the Casino Royale version, 1967 Casino Royale, or the 1983 version of Never Say Never Again with Sean Connery. I have the film, haven't seen it yet. Now here's the thing. A lot of people are not going to agree with my list, I'm going to be honest with you. But, to me, people shouldn't judge a James Bond film on either one actor, an actress. They have to focus on every single thing. Locations, the picture, if it's like Paris, France, or anything like Paris, France, England, America. They have to have great locations. They have to have great James Bond girls. They have to have great James Bond villains. A good story, a good plot line, a reason why the villains became villains, why they're villains, and a reasonable explanation. Also, they need to have a good James Bond, obviously. Every single key moment needs to go out well. If they have gadgets, make their cool gadgets. They have, like I said, a good storyline. They need to have a good storyline. Every single aspect you need to have. And there are, like, basically 23 James Bond films right now, and I'm going to give you my worst to best. This is also, I'm going to give a shout out to one of my subscribers, Mr. TARDIS11. He's a subscriber of mine. He's also done another James Bond reviews, or worst to best. I would like you all to see his work. He's also a good YouTuber, so check him out. And we'll start off with number 23 on the list, so check it out. Okay, number 23 is none other than, you know everyone, Quantum of Solace. I'm sorry, but every single time I see this film, it gets me pissed off because Casino Royale, spoiler alert, for future ahead, is my favorite James Bond film of all time, but Quantum of Solace is the worst. Here's the thing. This should have been a tale about revenge. This should have been a tale about basically who owns, who killed Vesper. What's the organization behind this? This should have been a new Spectre organization for the new millennium. The Spectre was the organization of James Bond during the past, and during the past of like Sean Connery and Roger Moore's films of the Ultimate Empire villains, but this one, they don't have it. This one is run by Quantum of Solace. Oh man, that sounds like a great title for an organization, but no, they're very crappy. Like, their villain is Mr. Green. There's no plot line with oil pipeline. There is hardly anything enjoyable about this film. They have a woman named Camille. She's a James Bond girl. Not really needed in this story. She doesn't really relate to the story at all. She just knows the villain in some sense, and she's not needed. A tale about revenge, about a new age of James Bond for a new organization is put in this one. There is hardly anything I like about this film except for a couple of the fight scenes. That's one of my favorite fight scenes in this entire James Bond series. But they screw it up with hardly any story. Stupid Bond girls, another Bond girl, I forgot, Mrs. Strawberry, Mrs. Stromberg, I'm not sure what her name was. She died real quick, thank God. The villain, Mr. Green, I like the actor that plays him, but nothing special about this film. And it's really one of the worst James Bond films. It is the worst James Bond film. So yeah, that's number 23 on the list. Only Live Twice with Sean Connery. I honestly couldn't enjoy this film. And considerably that Daniel Craig and Sean Connery are my favorite two James Bond actors who have played this role. And they're both in the two worst films of James Bond. You'll Only Live Twice doesn't feel like a James Bond film. One, it introduces Blofeld. The guy that freaking made all the Spectre organization, he's number one. He's the guy with the little cap thing. And they do absolutely nothing with him. I'm serious. This is more like basically, he stole a nuclear rocket. Basically, Blofeld just stole a nuclear rocket. Basically, stole a nuclear rocket from the Americans. Basically, he's trying to start World War III between Russia and America. And the thing is, though, he lands in Japan. His trademark's in Japan. Also, a notable thing, in this movie, Diamonds Are Forever. In the movie Diamonds Are Forever, the Blofeld in that one, the actor, is also in this movie, too. He has a short role, and he's quickly killed off. Another thing is that the second main problem is that the Bond girls are completely useless. It's just like they had to show culture. Kissy is a very, very pretty young lady. But Bond at this age and all in all, it was not a good Bond film. And you have samurai ninjas. Oh, I don't have agents. I have samurai and ninjas. basically said ninjas, but they're basically hitting each other like samurais. Let's just call them mixed martial artists. Because this film was such a letdown for me. I absolutely loved the front cover for this movie, but this film. Sometimes I'm just so shocked at how bad this film actually was, and compared to Sean Connery, Daniel Craig, I was so disappointed in these films. So yeah, this is number 23 on the list. Yeah, sorry people, Live and Let Die. To me, Live and Let Die is Roger Moore's first James Bond film, and to me, it's one of the worst James Bond films I've seen. One, they kill off. I love the beginning of this film. There was 3 agents, one in New Orleans, one in New York, I believe, and one all the way in the Caribbean near Jamaica. And basically, they are killed off in the most spectacular way. And the main villain, Mr. Big, has such a great he has like a great presence, just like Doctor No in the movie Doctor No, the first James Bond film. So I thought, oh man, this guy's gonna be good. But his main plot is he's a drug dealer. He deals with heroin. James Bond's in this film because he's dealing with heroin. Now, this is why I do not like this film. One, to me, I think this is one of the bigger racist crap ever. One, the only black guy, James Bond villain, he gets some of the worst supporting villains. He gets a guy named TT and Whisper. A guy named Whispers when there's attack. When James Bond attacks, he says, "Look out!" And what kind of bullshit is this? And then they give the black villain in this one, Mr. Big, that name, Mr. Big. He does all of this. Has a Mr. Big, and plus you have to look at the time they were living in. The only James Bond black villain that they have is a drug dealer. No, they can't put him like, oh, I want to start World War III. I want to start like a big chemical waste or something like that, or anything than a drug dealer. This is total bullshit. What they did, I think that was a crime in my opinion. So, sorry if I'm ranting about this film, but I find that's the reason why I can't stand this film. Because during that time, it gives them a crappy ass supporting characters, crappy ass name, crappy ass plot, and they never do this for other James Bond villains. For being drug dealers, only like one other, and that one James Bond had a reason to get into it, which we all know in License to Kill. See, James Bond only gets involved with Sanchez and the drug deal because he almost kills one of James Bond's closest friend. James Bond has no reason to go in this film other than 3 agents died for a drug deal thing, which is to me lower than James Bond. James Bond is needed for like world saving, to get special weapons or special information. This has nothing to do with James Bond, in my opinion. I think this was a crappy ass way for Roger Moore to go on the first start. I love Roger Moore as James Bond. Just to me, the directors really screwed this up, and a lot of this is deal with racism, in my opinion. Do not care for the villain, Miss Solitaire. I hate this one girl in this one who they made Rosie, one of the first black James Bond girls, and they made her crappy. It was so awful. I'm sorry. Rosie or something like that. I couldn't stand her. And this film is really disappointing to me. I gave this a 6 out of 10. I really can't enjoy this film. I'm sorry. I hate this film. So yeah, that's Live and Let Die for you. Yes, Tomorrow Never Dies to me is a very, very, very bad James Bond film. Well, here's the thing. It could have been fixed easily with certain characters. This movie could have been very fixed. They could have fixed all the problems with this, but I cannot stand Tomorrow Never Dies. I really can't. Basically, the villain is a man called Elian Carver, who's basically a propaganda nut freak. He basically loves propaganda. He likes to have everything in the internet, TV, radio station, emails, and all that stuff. He wants to be everywhere. His face everywhere. He's literally insane. And he wants to start World War III with the Chinese in America because the Chinese didn't support his propaganda stuff. So he got pissed off. So now he's gonna send a nuclear attacks and all that stuff. And basically, he's married to a James Bond girl named Paris. And when James Bond's trying to infiltrate his little facility, they kill off Paris, the actress that plays Paris. And I gotta say, that was the biggest mistake of this movie. Paris to me had such a great James Bond feel as James Bond, the Bond girl. She was perfect in every single stance, and I love the past history. I loved how they banter with one another, and how they killed her off nearly at the beginning was awful. And I really didn't like that part in the movie. That really brought downhill for me. Also, the supporting character was basically just a German guy who likes torture. That's it. Nothing big, nothing interesting. The actor that plays Elliot Carver, I like him. It's just, to me, a James Bond film needs to have almost everything right. They need to have locations right, the Bond girl, James Bond good, the villain, and a villain story of why he's doing it. To me, a stupid reason or an insane reason just to start World War G because of propaganda, because they want to support your propaganda with the Chinese is utterly stupid. Don't get me wrong, it could have been a great James Bond film, but I couldn't stand this movie because I didn't like that plot line. That's really what I didn't like. On the other hand, co-starring is Michelle Yeoh in this movie, who's basically a Chinese secret agent, just like James Bond supporting England. And basically, they're trying to help they're trying to help stop World War III from happening, and they defeat them and all in all. And I enjoyed the James Bond's girls in these films. Just it could have been so much better. This entire film, it was missing a lot, and to me, it was just such a big disappointment. And I am not a fan of this film at all. To me, this is one of the worst James Bond films I've seen. But not bad, but no fault to Pierce Brosnan. But out of 10, I gave this a 6 out of 10. Nowhere near as good as GoldenEye for the second part. So, yeah, that's why it's so downhill list also, because it was not great as GoldenEye. Number 19, A View to a Kill. Now, I got the View to a Kill Blu-ray on Blu-ray. And here's the name. This is Roger Moore's, seventh film of James Bond. He basically was like a whole decade of James Bond. He's 58 years old when he filmed this. I don't mind him. That of anything, Roger Moore has a great persona, a great stamina for just like, he still feels like a James Bond. He still does, even at 58 years old. He still feels like a James Bond. Now, I don't hate this film like everyone else does. I think this is just an okay film. Now, we got Christopher Walken. Sad to say, this is not something that Christopher Walken will be remembered. He's forgettable as Zoran, a guy who basically makes microchips, and he implants these microchips either as steroids to his supporting villains, to either give them super strength or all that stuff, or he actually uses the chip to basically to rig horse racing, eject the horses with these microchips, make them all super fast at the end, or basically shut down the economy. And basically, he wants to be the world's number one source of microchip manufacturer, so he does this all this way. Roger Moore's trying to stop him. It's a simple fill. Stop the bad guy from completing his manufacturing thing. Technically, he's a smuggler in this sense, but technically, he's set on world domination in a sense. He just wants to be the guy that owns all the guns while he supplies the warfare. Supplies to the warfare. The supporting Bond villain, Mayday, she's interesting. James Bond supporting villain. It was completely, I don't know what Christopher Walken did or his character Zoran. Basically just destroyed every single, tried to kill her and everyone else just to complete this plan. Great scenes of Paris and San Francisco, Golden Gate Bridge. So yeah, overall those were great scenes, great picture and all that stuff. I don't hate this film. I give it as a 7 out of 10, but it's 19 on 23 out of basically the James Bond films. So yeah, it's an okay film, not the best. So yeah, A View to a Kill, number 19.